Welcome to the video. So this video is for those people who are thinking about starting van life in 2025 or at some point in the future. Is it still worthwhile doing, and what are the pros, cons and pitfalls? Well, we're going to talk about all that in today's video. Stay tuned to the very end when we have some bonus material. So stay tuned. Also, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Helps the channel grow, and keeps you up to date with any future videos that I might upload. Okay, so I broke this video down. I've got one or two notes on my iPad over here to help me out as well. Okay, bear with me. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to talk about was water. So the bare essentials for van life: water, power, food, security and safety. Water is at the top of the list. Okay, so I personally use bottled water. Okay, this one's from Aldi, I believe, but you can get it from anywhere. Usually I buy the 5 litre bottles because it's a little bit cheaper. You can get a 5 litre bottle these days for about £2, £2.40, something like that. Sometimes even cheaper, depends where you go. All the major supermarkets do tend to stock the 5 litre bottles, although Aldi, when I went just last night, actually did not. So I bought the 2 litre bottles. I do have a 13 litre sort of jerry can, if you like, that feeds my sink, my domestic sink. So I just tip this into that 13 litre jerry can, and that gives me my water. So lots of van lifers will tell you to go fill up garages, petrol stations, all that sort of thing. For me personally, I don't. Most of the time, that's fine to do. Okay. However, there's going to be the odd occasion where you are going to get a bad bit of water, that's not great. And let's say you're going to need that emergency toilet I'm going to talk about later. Okay. And that's not always a great thing in a micro camper, which is what I'm in. So my water, my fresh water, I always buy it in bottles. That way I know it's, going to be of a good standard for drinking with, for cooking with, and all that good stuff. Okay. Now, when you are storing your water into a jerry can to feed your sink, make sure it's a food grade container. Not all of those containers that are advertised are food grade, and then you get this nasty plasticky smell. You may get small molecules of plastic in the water without even knowing, and all sorts of nasties that you're trying to avoid by buying bottled water. Well, it all goes to naught because you're getting the nasties anyway. So just be careful how you're storing your water. Of course, there are different types of vans as well, so let's talk about those. Bought or built. That's the big debate. You can buy a van type. There's all sorts you can buy, guys, out there. Really, isn't it? It's up to your own personal tastes and needs, to be quite honest. Bought or built. We can see there's 2 out here, actually. That was not by design. There's one up here, which is a coach-built motorhome, and then there's down here, which is a self-built van. You can also, it's entirely up to you what you go for, in all honesty. Your personal preference rules supreme over that one. I would say that layout is probably more important than type of vehicle. It depends on what you want, but make sure the layout is right for you. Do I have the right layout in my van? Absolutely not, no. Do I have the right vehicle? No, I absolutely don't. My situation was very different. Remember, if you've been watching this channel over the past year and a half grow and develop, you will know that I ended up in this van because it was already on my drive and I was already paying for it on finance. Still am paying for it on finance. That's not something I recommend anybody do. Okay, but my situation was a little bit different and I was a little bit, strapped for cash. But anyway, let's move this on. So what would I like in my vehicle that I don't have? I would like a shower in my vehicle. I would like an actual toilet area in my vehicle that I don't have. I would like a couch that I can lie down on full length, which I don't have. Okay, and a bed that I can actually lie down on full length as well. This bed is a little bit short. So, think about all those things that you can't cope without, all those things you really need for your creature comforts before you commit. Now, some channels will give you the advice of rent before you buy. I think that's really good advice, but renting a camper van these days or a motorhome is expensive. It's not particularly cheap. But I suppose if you're going to commit a big chunk of money to buying one, it could end up actually being an investment. You could end up saving a lot of money by getting the right layout first time. If you watch channels like those Happy Days, I like their channel, it's very good, but they've been through quite a lot of vans and changed the layout every single time, okay, that they've done that. Okay, so that's quite a journey they've been on, and they discuss van layout quite a lot. Hopefully they got their perfect one now, right? So now we've discussed two of the most important things, which is water and shelter. Let's talk food. All right, so for me personally, I've got an issue at the moment, and that my leisure battery is dying. It's on its way. In fact, it's gone, really. It just operates the lights, and you get the teeniest little whiff of cold air occasionally in the fridge. So storing food could be a bit of an issue for me at this moment in time till I've got that replaced. However, there's a tendency for some people to think about or shop as if they were in their original house, if you like. Go out and shop for the week, do a big shop, so to speak. Do you know what I mean? Personally, I don't feel there's any need for that. I don't think there's that's something you need to do if you're doing Vanlife UK, so to speak. Do you know what I mean? If you're doing Vanlife overseas or something, it might be a little bit different. Or if you're going away for a week and you're not going to be out in the sticks and not have access to shops, then that again is different. So think carefully about that. But on a general day-to-day basis, I prefer to purchase my food every 2 days or so. Okay, so I'm not having to store too much in the van, especially fresh food. Okay, so the good thing about that is as well that you can go out, you can take a full advantage of those yellow sticker deals, you know, where you've got to eat it that day. You go out to Tesco's, Asda, that sort of thing, and you can get those discounted and end-of-life foods because you're not going to eat it straight away. So that's quite a good thing. You actually do save yourself a little bit of money that way. The other thing is as well, I do store some dried food, some tinned food, some packet food for those weeks where my funds are low and I'm struggling financially. Okay, and there's plenty of those. We'll talk more about that in a minute. Okay, so do keep that stocked up within reason. I think I'll probably get half a dozen tins of food, curries and soups, with some rice and some pasta under the storage that's under my bed. And up there in that cupboard, I've got some packets of, you know, you mix water and milk and you got this pastry sausage, do you know what I mean, and pot noodles, that sort of thing. So I don't eat those on the regular. They are really just for emergency foods, just, you know, for those times when my funds are running low, which unfortunately are more frequently than I'll care to admit. But again, we'll talk about money in a bit. So I want to talk about 2 points in one here. I've got my iPad down to read my notes off there. And this, I put laundry and garages down as 2 different points, but really they're going to be the two same sort of things together. I tend to use Revolution laundries. I do that just for convenience. They are expensive, to be quite frank, and they can be a pain in the neck. So just be careful with Revolution laundrettes. I know I made a recent short video which seems to have done sort of fairly well, which I'm really pleased about. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. But the Revolution laundrettes are like almost like a pull-up, not quite a drive-through, but a pull-up service. You can pull your van up right outside the machines. You can watch them go round and round, and you know you can be done sort of fairly quickly. The machines are quite big, so you can go up to 20 kilograms on the machine, so you can put quite a lot of laundry in there. So that's a good thing. So what I tend to do is I'll wait for a couple of weeks till I'm almost out of all the food, out of all of the laundry that's in my cupboard there, and then I end up with a big bag full of stuff that needs washing. I could do it all in one go then. And you have to do it that way because they're expensive machines, right? It cost me about 25 quid to do a wash and dry at the Revolution. All right, so it's not cheap. It is far cheaper to go to a Sticks and Bricks laundrette, a traditional one, and do your laundry there. You know, I don't know why I don't do that. I should do, really. But suppose if you're doing like a fortnight's worth and it's costing you 25 quid to do a fortnight's worth, not as bad, okay, but it's still quite dear even at that situation. So they're usually found in garages. So again, whilst you're in the garage, you can be spending some time topping up, checking your oil, checking your water, checking around your vehicle, you know, make sure your lights are all fully working and what have you, okay, and just that general basic sight and sound maintenance is what I call it. Listen for any knocks, bangs and any sounds that shouldn't be there, and use your eyes, check around your vehicle and check your fluids, okay. I can't do much more than that. I'm not a mechanic, I'm not knowledgeable. anything goes wrong with my vehicle, I take it straight into the garage. Okay, so servicing your vehicle is essential. Okay, my vehicle gets a full service, full major service every 12 months. I take it to the very same garage every single time. So it's always the same mechanics. So they'll get my vehicle in front of them and say, last time this came in, we made this note, we made that note, because they have it on the computer and stuff. And they'll check it for me. And they're not the cheapest garage in the world, but they're very good quality, and I think very reasonably priced rather than cheap. But you're getting a very good service from them, and I trust them. I've been going to the same garage 20 years. Okay, so that's why I keep going back. I will drive across the other side of the country to this garage, but rather than use a different garage. I know, that's just me. Okay, call me a skeptic, but I don't always trust all garages and all mechanics, but that's just me. There's no reason why you can't trust other mechanics, all right? It could be just my autism kicking in there a little bit. You know, I like the same thing. I like repetition. I like familiarity, if that makes sense. So it's just me. Right, what was next on my list? Let me just take a quick look. Storage solutions. So storage solutions, when you're in a tiny little micro camper, honestly, they're golden. For example, on the back of this headrest here, I'll pick you up, turn you around, excuse the mess. You'll see my iPad with the notes on it now. Okay, but these things are great. I need another one for this headrest and that headrest. And they're just, I suppose you call them bum bags. What do they call them in America? Fanny packs or something, don't they? Something like that. I don't know where that name came from, but there you go. And I put all of my computer cables in there. So when I'm setting up my computer for work, for those people who don't know, I'm an online teacher. Again, more about that in a second. But so I have my laptop and the big ticket item, so to speak, in a proper laptop, sort of laptop rucksack, where it's all padded and all well looked after. But going through the pockets of the rucksack is a bit of a bind, trying to get all the cables, trying to find them all and get a rat's nest of what you... So I just keep them all in there. It just makes life a lot easier. And I could do with another 2 or 3 of those, one for each headrest. But I've had that since before I ever had the van. So, you know. Hygiene. Can't stress how important enough that is. You know that. Everybody knows that hygiene is vital. Okay, I've got running water, so I'm quite lucky with that. Okay, if I just want to very quickly wash my hands, I always carry some of this, you know, back from the dark days, if you know what I mean. But I still will renew that, top that up, and continue to use that just to give my hands a quick wash or something when I'm doing food prep and things like that. You know, in terms of a shower, well, there are lots of options when you're doing Vanlife for showers, lots of them. Okay, they're not always the most convenient, so you can't just walk upstairs or into the next room or wherever your home shower is and have a shower, you know, so it's not as convenient. But, for example, I have 3 main options. Well, there are 4 actually. Number 1, I am a member of Pure Gyms, so they've got gyms and branches, I wouldn't say all over the country, but they've got plenty of them scattered around the country. Okay, and the 2 main places that I kind of hang around mostly, in Wakefield, Doncaster, they've got quite big branches there, so, you know, that's quite useful. The other one is motorway services. So wherever I'm in Wakefield and Doncaster, I know right on the outskirts on the motorway there, about 10 minutes travel, there are motorway services for Doncaster and Wakefield. Actually, they're both moto services, and they both have showers. They're both well kept, they're both warm, etc. Not as convenient to reach and to get to. You know, you're going to spend a few pennies in diesel trying to get there for that drive. Okay, so you know, they'll do if you're out and about. Welcome service stations, I find, have got some really good showers. They're probably the better ones than moto service stations. I haven't been in every moto service station. I haven't been in every welcome service station, but it's just my experience so far across the year. And so what was that? 1, 2. Oh, there's a third option that's just down the road. I'm actually parked near a canal, and I know there's a shower and a toilet block just down the embankment of the canal. I'm going to go use them a little bit later. Now, for that, you do need a key, okay? And you can get one of those keys from Amazon. The other thing as well, on that note of keys, I actually have this key here. It's a disability key. I do put in my bio and my descriptions that I'm autistic. I do have some disabilities, okay? They're what we call hidden disabilities. So I do use my red key, and I don't feel bad about it. However, okay, if I do see somebody in a wheelchair or somebody with a physical disability that needs to use the facility, then I will always give way to those people, because I've got a different option, right? They don't. So it's really important to remember that and not be selfish when I'm using that key, or if you've got one. Okay, so the next one, okay, let me just click on here, go back to my notes. Where was I? Oh, apps. There's loads and loads of apps that help van lifers out. Okay, regardless of what vehicle you're driving, it could be a 9-meter motorhome like the Pews on Tour. It could be a very short, I don't know what this is actually, 4-meter maybe, micro camper, you know, or anything in between. There are apps out there to help you. Okay, so there's Picture. I tried to put some graphics up of, of the icons for these, but there's one called Picture. It's not really an app. I don't regard it as an app. It's a website. But you go into there. It's very, very good, and I believe it's free. I think there might be a paid version as well, but anyway, I use a free one. And you can go in there, you type in where you're going, and it's all about finding campsites. So, you know, you can get some good deals if you put through PitchUp. I've heard that it's cheaper to do it through PitchUp than it is through the actual campsite. I really don't know. You basically go in there, you type in where you want to go, or where your destination is, and it'll come up with a list of campsites. Not only will it come up with this campsites, and this is something that I really like, it comes up with a review, a user review of those campsites as well. You know, read with caution and take things with a pinch of salt when you're reading those reviews. They're not always necessarily accurate. It might be someone with a beef or a gripe, do you know what I mean, that's over egging the pudding and putting a negative spin on it. It could be someone that's maybe an employee. It could be someone that's maybe a manager or an owner that's doing the exact opposite and putting a really positive spin on it. So yeah, you read those with a pinch of salt, so to speak. Do you know what I mean? But what is good is it has images and pictures, and it has lists of facilities they have, as well as things that are quite local attractions, or, you know, facilities or whatever. Okay, so that's quite good. So the next app I want to talk about is going to be Park for Night. So Park for Night is pretty good. It'll have campsites on there. It will have free overnight park ups as well that are not campsites, if you know what I mean. Now, you've got to be sort of fairly careful with Park for Night, because it's not always as up to date as we would like it to be. But I don't think that's the fault of the organisers or the producers of the website of the app. I think it's because we live in an ever-changing world and things change quite rapidly, and it's difficult for them to keep it up. Okay, so don't forget, Park for Night is spread sort of all over Europe, I think. I could be wrong. So that's a lot of, you know, park ups to keep track of. Do you know what I mean? So you can't blame them for not really being completely up to date. So Park for Night also includes pub stops, I do believe. Okay, which is always good. Now the thing is, with pub stops though, please do phone ahead in advance, particularly in the UK, because we have this issue at the moment in the UK, don't we? Where if you're in the UK and you're a van lifer already, you already know. If you're not a van lifer yet, or you're not in the UK, I know that some of the audience for this channel are spread all in America and Canada as well, as well as other countries. Let me know in the comments down below. Where are you actually from? Where are you watching this video from? Because I'm really, really curious. But so here in England, councils are making it deliberately difficult for camper vanners and motorhomes to park their van overnight. So there's mysteriously signs popping up overnight, here and there, everywhere, saying please do not park your camper van here, or, you know, no parking between, I don't know, between 11 p.m. and 8 a.m. or something like that. Okay, so they're all right with you going along, spending your money in the shops during the daytime, but then they're saying, right, now get lost, we don't want you here, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? They make it very difficult for people all over England. Not only that, but councils are now getting onto landlords, pub owners, restaurant owners, etc., saying, Do not allow camper vans to stay in your car parks overnight. You do not have planning permission for that, and you're not insured for it, etc. And so they're really putting the pressure on business owners to not allow that. Bit of a shame, because for some small businesses, some small pubs and what have you, that's how they make their income, right? So obviously someone's going to get no money for that, but it's not everywhere, I don't think, yet. Okay, so by all means, there's a few pubs that I do stop in, a few favourite ones. I'm in the car park of one right now, and every now and then I'll pop in and have a meal, or have a drink, and that sort of thing. Okay, so please make sure you support them. If you're going to use those facilities, do support them. Don't just sneak in late at night and out early in the morning. Pop in, have a beer at the very least, or Diet Coke or coffee, whatever you drink. Have something at least. And get permission, because if you don't get permission and you take advantage, it makes it difficult for the next person to go stay there. Okay, for sure. They'll say, well, I'm not going to bother. If I'm not going to go and spend any money there, I'm not going to allow them to park in the car park, right? So don't do that. Okay, make sure you pop in. And also, the point I was trying to build up to, but I don't think I mentioned yet, is phone ahead. Okay, because of the council putting pressure on pubs to not be allowed to do it anymore. Park for Nights might not have updated, as I've already mentioned. And so you might turn up and be very disappointed that you can't stay. Does that make sense? Always phone ahead. Make sure you've got your spot booked, and make sure you've got permission to be there from the landlord before you just rock up. Horizon Parking is another really good app that you can use. Horizon Parking is used. You can use it for things like supermarket car parks, Tesco's, Asda, Sainsbury's, Morrison's, etc. A lot of their car parks are rented. They don't own them, and so you can actually buy additional parking time on that car park from the owner, if you like, through the Horizon Parking app. So although Tesco or Asda or whatever may say there's a 3-hour time limit, well, if you've actually gone onto the app and you've purchased additional time through the app, then you can stay there for, however long. You can stay up to 24 hours or more. Another one that doesn't get as much mention or kudos as it could do and should do are Facebook groups. Lots and lots of Facebook groups. I'll try to list some here somewhere in the video if I can, that can be quite helpful. So, if you've got a problem, got an issue, you've got a question, you're in a specific area, it's always worthwhile visiting those particular Facebook groups, because somebody might have already answered that question that you may want to ask. But also you can ask that question again, and so I'm sure somebody will want to jump on there and give their 2 penneth worth, their opinion, and maybe help you out a little bit. Insta images saying that van life is perfect. It is not. It's not perfect. It's not perfect because life is not perfect. You're going to have problems in van life, the same as you have problems anywhere in life, whether it's sticks and bricks or on 4 wheels or 6 wheels, who knows? Okay, do you know what I mean? So don't fall for those overly edited videos that you see on Instagram. That's a load of nonsense for the most part. Secondly, it's not as bad as some people make it out to be either. I've been doing this for a year now. I've never once had the knock. I've parked up. I park up mostly in urban areas, in towns and cities. Doncaster City is a city now, by the way. It's a recent development. And in Wakefield, which is a city, I park mostly in those 2 areas. I'm there right now, okay? I've never once had the knock, ever. Or had a falling out with anybody regarding it. So I find that most of the time, in actual fact and point of fact, is that I park with my van door open. I've got it closed right now because I'm making a video, but I park my van door open and people want to talk, want to say hi. They're curious. What are you doing? Oh, blimey, how do you do this? How do you go to the toilet? How do you go for the shower? How do you do cooking? And they're just curious, honestly, innocently curious. And, you get to chat. So although I'm a solo traveller, I'm on my own. I'm not on my own in life because I've got friends and family. Okay, but sometimes, yeah, if you're not careful, you can fall into that little bit of loneliness if you don't watch that. Okay, leave your door open, talk to people. That 99% of the time they're going to want to talk back. Okay, or they're going to want to instigate the think about themselves. The financial impacts of things as well before you get into van life. This is the big one. This is the one I promised you right at the start. I said watch to the end. Okay, so financial implications are, you know, both positive and negative. Let's talk about the positives. You're not paying rent, you're not paying council tax, water rates, gas bills, and all that kind of stuff. And you can save yourself in some case thousands of pounds. Okay, on the negative side, you can then sort of like say, oh well, actually my van's a little bit older and it does need work. Okay, so when I first moved into my van, I thought, oh, I'm going to save loads of money. I have not saved anything in reality. I've just managed to save first few £100, but that's put to one side in an emergency fund. It's in an emergency fund because who knows what the next thing to go wrong is. We don't know. It's a vehicle. It's got thousands of moving parts. This vehicle is 11 years old. So those moving parts have been moving for a long time, right? Okay, and things happen. So you've got to be able to bear the cost of that if that happens. I'm in a tricky situation right now. Today, as I talk to you on this video, I don't have that cost right now. Okay, but anyway, I'll come back to that. So you save a lot of money, but also you've got to be prepared to spend a lot of money. My first month in this van, I had a starter motor fail. Van was working perfectly when I first moved into it, but I had a starter motor fail in the first month. That cost me 250 quid. I then got 2 flat tyres. That was 140 quid. And then I needed some work doing for the MOT. That was 400 quid. So now we're into the thousands of pounds already in the first month of being in the van. Okay. And, you know, I had all sorts of issues that just seemed to cascade one after another. Okay, right in the first month. And so I've been working all year to try and recoup that and get back on top of things, and I've just started to do that. So I've been in the van for a year now, for those people who don't already know, and I've just managed to save my first few hundred quid, and that is straight into an emergency fund. It's not for me to spend. I can't just say, brilliant, I've got a bit of extra money now, I can go out for a meal, I can go out here, I can travel here, travel there, travel everywhere. Can't do that. It's got to go into a fund, and I need to now work really hard, put some money into that fund. I want at least 6 to 7,000, not 67, 6 to 7,000 pounds in that fund. So if I need a new engine or I need a new gearbox, God forbid the two things don't ever happen at the same time, then I've got the money for that. However, that's not going to be enough, because I also need to consider how long it's going to take for that repair to be completed, and I need somewhere to stay whilst that's being completed. Does that make sense? So you've got to factor in things like a hotel, Airbnb, or whatever you can get that's cheap. Does that make sense? Whilst you're waiting for your van, your home, to be repaired. So it's not as straightforward as that. So you need to bear that in mind. Okay, so there are pros and cons. So don't come into van life just because you think you're going to save money. You can come into van life for the little adventures you're going to have along the way, for that bit of freedom. The freedom for me is number one. I've often experienced, and I know now it's because of the autism. I didn't find out I was autistic, by the way, until 2 or 3 years ago. But anyway, I didn't know that was a major contribution, shall I say, to my mental health. Stress, depression, anxiety, all the rest of it was all exasperated, if not caused by, not always, by the autism. Does that make sense? So having this has helped me a great deal with that. You wouldn't think it, would you? You'd think it was the opposite way around, but it's not. It really isn't. I mean, I'm here right now because it's gorgeous outside. I've got other camper vanners here. There's one here. I've spoken to him a couple of times in the past, and there's another couple down the way there, vans similar sort of size to this, maybe a little bit bigger. And of course, there's the motorhome guy who's just moved. Has he gone or has he moved? Oh, he's gone actually. So you're not on your own. Van life community is massive, is what I'm trying to say there. It's quite a big thing to be a part of, and reach out for help when you need it. Okay, really important, and have that chat, have that conversation. It does help with your mental health quite a lot. Right, guys, that's it for this video. So I would say thank you very much for tuning in today. I hope you've enjoyed it. I did make some notes. Did it work? Did it help? Are you still here? Are you still listening? I'd like to know, please, in the Q&A. And also, please do remember to like, comment, subscribe. Help me to turn my channel into something that might help me to earn a little bit more extra money. Okay, and yeah, I'd be most appreciative, guys. All right, do take good care. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.